What's up, lunatic libertarian? What's going on, bro? What's going on? My bad. Man, I got a lot going on real quick. I'm sitting up here. I had a phone call and just what's going on, man? I hope you ain't gone off here. He probably left. He probably like, damn, he keep disappearing. I'm trying to talk to the brother. Say just as crazy as ever. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Oh man, yeah, I've been trying to set it up for a minute, man. I'm just like I said, I was on the phone and doing some different stuff, and I really had kind of forgot to get on her. I'm having some issues. I might end up putting my little coat back on. I'm having some heater issues, y'all. Y'all gotta forgive me. Somebody's coming over here to fix my heater real quick because my heat. It ain't that cold, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm in Texas. It's cool. It's cold, but it ain't like, oh my God, I'm about to die. You know what I'm saying? It ain't that cold. But I just want to make sure it get taken care of. Yeah, hold on. Let me grab my coat. I just want to put my coat back on. Gotta put my coat back on. Yeah, I think that's what it is, man. I think that's what it is. I don't fool with it, so I let somebody else fool with that. I'm pretty sure they'll get it back on, but I don't fool with that stuff, man. I let the professionals do that. I'm I'm more versed in other things. That's not something I'm versed in, so I ain't gonna act like I know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking it's the igniter. I'm thinking it's the igniter because I haven't fired it up. You know how that is. You ain't fired it up in a while. You know how it go. But I don't want to. Like I say, I'm gonna let somebody else do it. Like if you was here, I'll just let you do it. I wouldn't even. I'm not even. I'm not one of them people gonna be like, yeah, yeah, I can go out here and figure it out. Yeah, and then I just make it worse and end up having to pay $10,000 for something. I ain't got time for that. Then it really blew something up. Just leave it alone. Just stick to what I know. Don't try to act like I know everything. I don't know everything. But yeah, I think it's the igniter. I think it's the igniter. But on my topic, reason why I brought this up, y'all know we've been talking about the whole Somali scam stuff and whatever and whatnot. But I got to thinking, when it comes to black people, are we gonna keep falling for like the okey doke when it comes to politics? I know like both sides is this and both sides ain't right, and you can't trust anybody, and the government is the big bad government and whatnot. But like when you when you check out these politics and you're like, look, we mostly put our votes behind the Democratic Party for the most part. Black people do. So why is it that this party does more for illegal immigrants, LGBTQ, foreigners than they do for the actual people who put them in the positions of power that they do? You know what I'm saying? Like we ask for things, but we don't ever get things from them. or they put us on the back burner, or we're not their priority. And it's like, look, they see what the Somali community is doing, and you actually have people out here now who are saying, "Oh, it's you know, this is made up." Shirley is what's his name? Eric Shirley. How is he getting this information? There's no way I can believe that he uncovered what was it, $100 million worth of fraud. It's like it's just disgraceful to me how they act and how they think. The lunatic libertarian says that lady calling the reporter ICE was crazy. Yeah, she was completely ignoring the information. Yeah, that bro, like that. I was laughing when I was saying, because I'm thinking, bro, like, how is you talking about ICE when it's two dudes and a camera right there? You don't see them with no. If it was ICE, they're gonna have vest on. They're gonna have some type of identifier on or something. They're not just gonna be up there in plain clothes talking about, yeah, we doing a YouTube show. You know what I'm saying? Like that stuff, they kill me with that. We just up here doing a YouTube. No, she talking about ice, ice. And that is one of those things, like I played that clip one day where Malcolm X said this. He said, the most dangerous person, I'm not quoting it exactly right, but he was basically saying the most dangerous person to black people is the basically the liberal white person. Somebody who thinks that they're doing good, but they ain't doing good. They're doing more harm than anything to us. Like she actually thinks that she's doing something good, but you're harming real Americans. Think about this. She's sticking her neck out for these people. Like I said, don't like this country. They want to siphon money from this country when we have actual veterans who are slow to get their health care, homeless, don't have places to stay, don't have food to eat, and they get money hand over fist. And I actually seen another video where the real scam is not only that they don't have any children at these daycares, but what is going on allegedly is they set up these daycares, and then somebody comes in, they bring their children in, sign them in. You see them walking up there, signing their children in, and then they walking right back out with their kids. And then they had a clip of the owners handing people envelopes, which they think is alleged money, which would be a kickback. Yeah, we getting these funds, and then we gonna hook y'all up. So we all making money. We making money because we own the facility, and y'all making money because y'all got the kids and y'all acting like that they're coming to this facility, which is something like I said is hurting veterans, in my opinion. Not just everyday average citizens, but like veterans, bro. Like I really think about that. Like you have people who serve this country and they having a hard time getting services. Like I said, I was working with a lady who was a veteran, and she goes to this VA hospital in my city, and it's like it's nobody at this. When I'm saying nobody, I'm talking about like I don't see the parking lot packed, and she'll be like, "Yeah, it's gonna be months and months before I can go to the VA." And I'm thinking, what? Like, how is it taking months for them to see you? I don't even see any cars over there. She's talking about how the services are delayed, and sometimes she'll go in there and they'll tell her, "Oh, we got to reschedule." I'm like, to me, in my opinion, if you are a veteran of this country, there's no way, there is no way in hell you should be waiting on services. If you need food, you should get food. If you need housing, you should get housing. If you have a mental illness, you should be able to get help immediately. It should not take you an exorbitant amount. It shouldn't be taking you months before you can get an appointment. They should just say, look, come on in here. We're going to take care of you. We're going to do something temporary until we can get you to the proper, care that you need. We're going to do something for you. Like that bothers me. 501c3 organizations are nothing but money laundering systems. I've always heard that, lunatic libertarian. I have always heard that. They are just nothing but money laundering systems. That's it. Like, they take advantage of our system to the point where it just disgusts me that these people can't get services. And I know I'm back on the whole veteran thing, but still just because every time I heard her say that, and if you knew where I live, like I live in a nice little city. I think the city may have 200, maybe it's growing fast because we in Texas and everybody's moving to Texas. It was like 100,000. Now it's like 200,000 in this city. But I suspect it's more than that. But still, even then, when I drive by this VA, I don't see that many cars there. It's like, why can't these people just get the services that they need? That's a shame to me that the people who put their life on the line for this country have to wait on things. Why? What are they waiting for? I need to understand. I'm trying to understand that. Lunatic Libertarian says, I'm a veteran. I get the private option. The services are way worse through private option because all costs are predetermined. Bro, can you come up and explain this stuff to me? Do you mind coming on her and explaining that to me? Because every time she told me stuff like that, I was just like, I don't understand how these people could be on a back burner. I think to myself this, even as a civilian, if I go to my doctor, if I call my doctor, or I could go on my app right now and say, look, my big toe is bothering me. I need to make an appointment. I can go to my doctor tomorrow and they'll look at my big toe. But she'll tell me, yeah, it's gonna take them a week or two before they can get to me or more. And this they should either be able to go to the VA and get help immediately, or if they don't have enough doctors or whatever the case may be, then they should say, look, we know some physicians at the local hospital in your area, or just some doctors in your area, and look, we just gonna send you to them so you can go see them immediately. That's the type of shit that I'm like, what? They should be able to go do that immediately. Okay, let me send you the link, bro. I'm gonna pin the link to the top of the chat. And I know this is kind of off topic of what I'm talking about, but still, it's just, man, I may end up having to change the name. Let me rename it anyway, because I know we gonna talk about some other things. If I can rename it. So I'll wait on Libertarian to come up here. Turn this TV down. But yeah, I mean the whole Somalian scam stuff. That 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 I- that is one of those things that really it just I got real aggravated when I watched that whole Nick Shirley video. I got really aggravated. Like I was aggravated like to the point where I was infuriated because as much and I'm a black person, and as much as black people have had to deal with in this country and the issues that we have with this country, with the government, and with certain people in this country, I would never, I would never think to myself, I want to scam this place. I want to ruin it because no matter how bad it is, I still feel like this is way better than any other place on the planet that I'd rather be. You can pay me to go to some of these other. I don't want to be there. I just don't want to be there. What's up, libertarian?
How's it going? Can you hear me?
Yeah, let me switch my headphones real quick. Let me put my headphones on so I don't get no feedback. Okay, I'm connecting now. Go ahead.
Yeah, when I was talking about the private option, as far as like I can go to a private healthcare facility, a private hospital. Well, once you're assigned to a private provider, it's basically you have the cookie cutter performance. 15-minute appointment, check vitals, and then it all goes off of what the insurance is going to cover from the government. I remember I was going in there for a shoulder issue. She wanted to give me an X-ray, and I basically just told her, I said, "What kind of diagnostic are you going to get out of an X-ray if it is a muscle or ligament issue? Because you can't see the muscles or ligaments." So it's kind of like, well, that, and then she flat out said, "Well, that's all your insurance is going to pay for is an X-ray when you really need an MRI." So diagnostics versus actual solving a problem, it's just like any other of these systems. It's just a scam. It's just like even if you have private insurance and you want to go and say, let me get a heavy metals test. Well, we don't cover that test. That test is XYZ amount of money. My family, we just eliminated our healthcare insurance because we don't use it, and we actually will save more money in the long run by not paying the premiums and having a health savings account to pay for any private diagnostics or any kind of services that we need. So we'll actually save money by not paying for our employer's insurance.
That's crazy. And you know what? I think I had a health savings account with one of my jobs because I'm single. And you right. Because they would put money. I think I would put money into it and they would put money into it. And any type of extra services I would need, somebody was like, look, just use this card, that this health savings account. And I could pay my co-pays, I could pay whatever it is with that extra fund. So yeah. But what I wanted to ask you was like, why is it that they make y'all wait so long for these appointments when they could, to me, it feels like they could just say, look, we have some physicians in your area who can see you right now instead of you waiting a month or so. Like we can just kind of put you up front of some other people, or oh, they probably just have some extra appointments and look, we can just send you there and you could just still use the same insurance that you're using. Like what's the deal with that?
Well, you have so many providers, right? And usually VA providers are not directly employed by the VA medical facility. They're usually either interns or doctors in training, and they use the VA as the stepping stone into actually getting their medical license, their actual practice. So one thing is that there's not enough providers. Another thing is that the VA uses out of date procedures. So if you're a vet and you need let's say you need a prostate exam, instead of giving you any of the new stuff to clean you out, they're going to give you the old product and say, here's your 5 gallon jug of to clean your system out, and instead of using modern techniques. It's the same thing with any kind of prescription pharmaceuticals that are prescribed. The VA uses veterans still as an experimental facility to experiment with pharmaceuticals. I mean, it's just in their protocols. Um, it's kind of like the VA is used as a program to still experiment on veterans. Like when I was in, and even in boot camp, there was a pneumococcal vaccine that was being experimented with, and We basically got told you can either take this vaccine or you can go sign your walking papers. So yeah, there was a pneumococcal vaccine experiment that happened on my boot camp division when I was in the United States Navy. I actually couldn't find any of the studies for that case until about 3 years ago. So, and I got out in 2004. So, for almost 20 years, that information was not available to me. It's like it didn't exist, even though it's in my DD 214 that this was actually something that happened. So, yet again, veterans are experimented on. That's just what it is. So they will take you to the extremes. And even if you research like the programs that were going to be introduced during the second Bush administration after 9/11 of reintegrating veterans back into society, there was all these initiatives that were written. And I didn't realize that until I actually lived at the VA, lived there for 9 months in the domiciliaries, and was actually going to the library and starting to read these initiatives because I wanted to know why my treatment was going the way that it was going. I no longer go. I don't use the VA facilities. I actually had my PTSD counselor was killed in Fort Hood, Texas, in 2009 while I was living in the domiciliary with the attack by Major Hassan. So he was actually getting ready to deploy to
Really?
Afghanistan. Yeah. My
I
real
remember
my
that
government.
attack.
Yep, my government name is still on VA.gov's website. If you were to look up Captain Russell Seeger, I was interviewed by the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel after he was killed. I was one of his only patients when living at the domiciliary at the time under the OEF OIF vet program that was going on for all the vets that were coming back all fucked up. So it was
Yeah,
crazy.
that's crazy. Like, I I can remember when, like I was saying, my coworker when she was just telling me this, it was just baffling to me because I'm just like, these are people who put their life on the line for the country. Like it almost seems like it would be a no brainer that they would get the best of the best. You know, they be saying this stuff, but I'm like, what she's telling me, it ain't matching up. And like I'm not a veteran, but like I really, really hate that to see that like these people have to wait. When she told me about the wait times, I'm thinking this person went to war. Like I don't know. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I just could not wrap my head around that. It just seemed like they would be automatic, like, man, shoot this person straight to the front, get them the services that they need. If they need food, we not asking no questions. Get them a food stamp card. If they need housing, send them over here, get them a bed, a house, and something, at least something temporary, and then we'll find them. I just, bro, like when she was just I was really, really up. And I never thought I would be that upset because, I'm just being honest, just growing up as a black person, we don't want you going into the military and this, all this old bullshit. But now
Hmm.
as I've gotten older, I'm looking at certain things. I'm just like, it just don't seem right. It don't seem fair to me. I don't care if it was a black veteran, if it was a white veteran, if it was an Asian veteran. It just don't seem right, you know?
Yeah, there's a bunch of craziness, and a lot of people don't understand is that just like any incentive program, whether it be for the private sector or for military veterans, there is a very specific criteria that you must meet in order to get a program. Like, let's say, well, I served from this year to this year. I was in country from this time to this time. Up, you didn't meet the actual cutoff point or the start point for this initiative of this program, so you don't qualify. It's very structured so that yes, these programs are available. They're available for as long as you meet the criteria. If you meet the small print, then yes, you can reap the benefits of this program. But if you were to just ask 100 veterans that actually have gone through and tried to receive benefits, the hoops that you have to jump through. And then, even if you receive a 100% disability, you have to go back in every 6 months and be reevaluated to keep that benefit. Which, yet again, it's just like if you were to go through workforce of development, food stamps, SNAP, it doesn't matter. you have to constantly be reevaluated by the government to see if you need to still receive that benefit. And what people don't understand is that you are inviting the government into your life constantly, giving up all your information voluntarily to say, hey, I need help. Well, what I ran into is I started looking at all these different corridors, and I'm like, this is more work and more BS than I need to deal with. I'm not even going this route. I was actually very happy. Not initially, it took quite a few years, but I was actually happy when all my benefits, as far as being disabled or anything, were completely denied and completely shut off to where I couldn't reopen my case. And I'm like, that actually forced me into an avenue of becoming more self reliant and not dependent on the government. And I lost a lot of veteran friends that way because I wasn't going the avenue of which they were going. I wasn't following the program. And a lot of vets get caught in that. And then, how many pills are you on? These pills ain't working. All right, we're going to run through another gambit of pills. It's just a perpetual cycle of craziness that you get put into. And that's with any public program, if you think about it. It keeps you in perpetual cycle of dependency. And, that's been programmed into the American for decades now. I don't know how you change that mentality.
Do you think that's why you have a lot of veterans who, I ain't gonna say a lot. I would say that's why you have some veterans who in the past have committed like certain types of terrorist acts or something nefarious. Like I think what was that guy? Uh he did the what was it? Was it
I'm talking about,
anthrax? The
well, you
anthrax
have Timothy
guy, and then
McVeigh,
you
who
had
was an
Timothy
Army veteran
McVeigh.
that did the first,
Right,
the Oklahoma
right.
City bombing and all that. Well, yet again, one person's terrorist is another person's patriot, right? If you want to get into the semantics of it, right? So the founding fathers were terrorists against the British because they didn't want to pay an extra tax, so then
Right,
they became terrorists. But in the and then the victors, right, wrote the story that they were these great
right,
patriots.
right.
So you can take the Black Panther Party, right? Very, very patriotic organization that got
Because they
manipulated
were
into this.
vets. Those dudes were vets.
Well, I mean, the Rainbow Coalition, the Black Panther Party, there's a lot of organizations that got these just crushed by government entities. They talk about the FBI. The FBI has been a corrupt entity ever since its existence. It was a surveillance entity that was created, ruled by one individual, and because of his own personal insecurities, needed to know everything about everybody else.
And who?
You know,
Okay, let me
you're talking about J.
let
Edgar
me.
Hoover.
Yo, J. Edgar Hoover. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we was on the same page. Go ahead. Go ahead. Hmm.
So, I mean, when we look at the history of the United States and when we look at the history of these things, we
Was he
need
the
to be
first
all in.
FBI director?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So to look at history in its full story as far as what we can extrapolate from this source, this source, this source, and try and get the whole story, we have to understand that these systems were never perfect. These systems never really operated. They just kept telling us, "Oh yeah, we're doing a great job. We're doing a great job, but we just need more money. We just need more funding." And then we find out, like I put in the comments earlier, 501c3s are nothing but money laundering organizations, and that's what we're finding out as far as these entitlement programs, just like what's being supplied to the Somalis in Minnesota. It's an entitlement program that has no accountability, and it's very easy to fill out documents and submit them to the government. The government is not going to vet that information and then just write you a check. And then because you just keep applying, keep applying, keep applying, well, they just keep writing the check. And they think they're doing something, but it's just, well, we're supplying you the money, we're
Right.
providing you the funding, but it's just a nonsense organizations. And that happens. I mean, look at how many 501c3s there are in this country.
It's a
And how
ton
many
of them.
and how many problems do are they supposed to address and quote
Hmm.
unquote solve?
Hmm.
They don't, and they don't solve anything because if you actually solve the problem, there's no reason for you to exist, and there's no reason for you to receive any more funding.
Right, because like I know some 501c3s down here that's supposedly supposed to help like homeless and other groups around here, and I mean, they got nice buildings. The one or two people that's working inside are driving nice
Hmm.
cars. It's just like,
Hmm.
who are y'all helping? I don't see anybody that's going up to these like. So you absolutely right, but dealing with the whole Somali thing, like I'm trying to figure out how, because Nick Shirley was pointing stuff out as far as multiple companies using the same address. And I'm thinking that should automatically be a red flag to say some ain't right here. You can't have multiple businesses at the same address unless it's one of those buildings, where, suite B, suite C, suite, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Except this was just one location and it was supposedly like two daycares there, and nobody even thought to red flag this, or nobody even thought to pick it up. It makes me think, like you say, they just handing out funds. Nobody is really checking it. It's like, okay, it's a 501c3, hand them the funds and let's go on about our business. That's exactly what's going on, and
Well,
they've been
and the
taking advantage
government's
of
not efficient. The government's not efficient. So
it.
even if they wanted to catch something off rip, it's going to take them at least 3 months, right? So because the government
Hmm.
isn't, and the government was never designed to be efficient. It was supposed to be a slow changing, so that you couldn't even. There's not supposed to be immediate change in this country. That's another thing people don't understand. It was designed so that it would be a slow, methodical change, because you didn't want someone or some entity to come in and just radically change the country overnight. That is the reason that the government is designed the way it is, and it's supposed to happen over a long distance of time. But people want immediate satisfaction. So, with the government being inefficient, people wanting immediate satisfaction, they rush through the processing of these 501c3s, and they just take their word for it. Well, if you can't trust in anything, then there's no integrity. Everything is lost. All of society is lost if you can't trust. It's a very fine line of how our society actually operates now, and people are dependent on these social programs, which they shouldn't be. Barricades are created through public policy because we have to police everything and everybody to create false senses of security. And then people don't understand that, well, I'm being oppressed because it was supposed to be a security factor introduced by government, but it actually produces nothing but detriment. And then it creates, again, the perpetual cycle. Um,
It's
I don't
supposed to
know
be
how you
something
solve that.
temporary, and people have turned it
Correct.
into long-term fixes. Hmm.
Correct. Well, if you feel that you're entitled to something, right? Well, I should get this because I
Yeah,
exist.
yeah. Or
That is,
or they think like, oh, I'm not worried about if I fudge this up. I can always just I can go get me a house, some public housing. Yeah, it's a crutch. Hmm.
well, it's supposed to be a safety net if you hit rock bottom, but people use it as an escape route from responsibility. And
Facts.
I think that's where it's gotten perverted. And then if it's taught generationally that I can get over, right? People are taught to get over instead of, being a productive person in society. I need to get over. And this goes into a mentality of a lot of different situations, whether it be through business, whether you run the streets. It's, instead of cooperating with each other, you're trying to get over on somebody and screw somebody over. You're trying to get a leg up. You're trying to always, I don't even know how to really say it. You're trying to win something, instead, as an individual, you'll crush somebody else to get a step ahead, instead of
Hmm.
actually bringing both of yourselves up equally, because you have to feel superior in some way, form, or shape. It's just, it's kind of sickening, but that is actually what's been programmed into the American population. it's
And,
it's
and,
it's
and
it's
it's
crazy.
also like because I'm telling, this is like from experience and from what I know. It's also enabled people to be like, to think that how can I put this? I don't even know how to put it. But okay, I'm gonna just say I got family members, they're on public housing and food stamps. And I'm telling you, libertarian, I've seen them go to Cancun. I've seen them go on trips. And they will like literally post stuff online like, y'all just broken. Y'all ain't I'm like, you on public housing. Like whatever you doing, like you getting free food or free house. I actually have to go to work every day. That's why I can't go on a trip. Like all of my money is going to my bills.
Yep.
So it is I don't know. I don't even know how to explain that. But
Well, I was on public assistance. I have no problem saying that. I've been homeless and needed help from the government, but yet again, I use it as the incentive program that it's supposed to be, right? I paid into it from the time I was 16. By the time, I came
mhm,
back home and I was going through, I lived, like I said, I lived at the domiciliaries. I used my VA benefits to try and help myself, but I didn't stay on them for the long term, just for the simple fact that you have to constantly have the government in your life.
mhm, mhm,
And, I'm not a unskilled person. I am a tradesman. I was a felon, so I was on probation. You have restrictions of where people don't want to hire you because they don't. And I don't even think it's because you're a felon. I just think that they don't know if you're going to be
they can
around
trust
because
you.
you
Yeah.
might get in trouble again, and
Mhm,
they revoke your probation, and then they're out an employee. They spend all this money to onboard you, uniforms, training, whatever. And I think that's another thing people don't understand is that companies pay a ton of money to onboard you. And for people to think that, oh, well, they hire and fire. No, they spend a ton of money for background check. They spend a ton of
mhm,
money for drug testing. They spend all this money to try and vet people. But yet again, it doesn't matter. People, you could be the most accomplished person on paper, but can you actually accomplish anything in the real world? These
mhm,
are these are again where things get conflated. This goes into academia too. Academics need academia to have this prestigious thing to make themselves feel important, so that their voice is more important than the next person's. It's just craziness. I one thing I say is that humans in the United States have subcontracted their personal security to other entities because we have these quote unquote safety net programs, and they won't fail and then try and run again and run again because you may not be successful the first time out. People give up so easily because of these safety net programs. Well, why should I do anything? The government pays me. I can sit at home. I don't have to do anything. I, but yet again, you're pissed off at your position because you can't advance yourself in
mhm.
society.
That's what's wrong with our society. Like you say, like most of us, people just feel like, oh, I can, like you say, I can fail, I can fall back on some type of government assistance, or like I could just. It's kind of like going back home to your parents. If your parents gonna constantly let you go back to the house, then you really not gonna try really, really hard to make somebody yourself. Or like for me, I use this example going back to some other stuff that you said previously. Like my parents equal to government, I equal to citizen, right? So when I turned 16, my parents they got me a car. I started being able to drive, but they was always giving me gas money. But with that, they want to know where you going, how long you gonna be there, is you coming back home this time, this, and that.
Yep.
And then I was like, I need to get me a job so I can make my own money. I can put my own gas in my car. I ain't got to answer to nobody, and so on and so forth. But a lot of people don't have that incentive to even go back, even to aspire to that because they feel like, yeah, if I lose my job, I just start back asking my mom and them for money again. Or I just
Mhm.
go back home or whatever. But I never wanted to do that. I was always like, man, once I'm out, I'm done with them. I'm done with them. But I host really my generation. I'm a millennial. And so I noticed that with a lot of because I got a lot of relatives and cousins and friends who even I got a friend right now. I mean, he's He gets on drugs, and then he kind of get cleaned up, and he go back home because he back on drugs. And it's like, bro, his mom is enabling him. He'll ask her for $5 to go get some cigarettes, but he's actually going out buying meth and all that. And it's like, will you stop giving him the $5 for the drugs? For the I mean for the cigarettes, because he's buying drugs with the $5 that's supposedly supposed to be for cigarettes. And that's what's going on. Like,
Well,
stop doing that.
there's a messed up mentality even with that too, right? So methamphetamine is not illegal in this country. It's just illegal if
Yeah.
it's on a
Yeah,
you
you're
know.
right.
And then, well, just like Chris Rock said, they don't want you to be on your drugs. They want you to be on their drugs. So it's okay
Right,
if you
right,
have a prescription with your name on it, and I'm on Percocets and
right.
antidepressants and everything, and I get up and I go to work every day. That's perfectly fine and perfectly normal, right? Because that's acceptable by society. But a person that does use illicit street drugs, methamphetamine, heroin, but you can be a functioning alcoholic because it's legal, get up, go to work every day, and society's like, he's still functioning, gets up, goes, but you can't say that about a person that uses crack cocaine or powder cocaine or methamphetamine or heroin or
Mhm,
cannabis or any of these other illicit drugs, just for the simple fact that the pharmaceuticals control the monopoly on distribution and import.
mhm,
But yet again, if you actually have free markets, though, right? How many criminals do we change into entrepreneurs? How many people then get reclassified, right? As long as there's a free market. Granted, you still need regulation, right? So that people can get pure product or whatever their commodity that they're buying, because it doesn't matter that it's illegal. You can still get it on every street corner. Doesn't matter anywhere in the United States, Canada, Mexico. You can get it anywhere. So why do we have a war on drugs? Well, because it's a Larry Sharp is a guy that I listen to a lot. He says, well, everything that the government does is a jobs program, military industrial complex, jobs program, any kind of social program. It's a jobs program. You create jobs. I mean, you don't when you go to apply for public assistance, you don't go to a government building. You literally go to a 501(c)(3)
mhm,
nonprofit organization that then facilitates you getting your benefit from the government.
mhm, mhm. See, that's why I like talking to you, because you do bring up some good points, you know. Because I remember, I think last time I brought up the whole myth thing, and you told me how the drugs that they want you to be on versus the drugs that that you make yourself or people make themselves. So yeah, I
Yep.
mean, like you make a good point. Like, I can't argue with that, and I really can't dispute that because it's true. You know.
And you got liberals screaming "My body, my choice," but they won't bring it up as far as like what you want to ingest. As far as I don't want to ingest chemicals that are advertised as food. I want to be able to go to my local market and have my local farmers provide me a non-Monsanto genetically modified organism. I want a heritage organism to put into my body because then I know there's no corruption.
Right.
Everything is corrupted. Our food supply is corrupted. Well, now we have 3D printed meat. We
Hmm.
have genetically modified organisms as far as our fruits and vegetables. Now we have 3D printed meat. Where are we? Why have we gotten away from the natural order of things?
Yeah.
It's beyond me. It's beyond me.
And I'm a picky eater, and I'm glad you brought that up because I wish somebody was listening to this right now, because you know they'll say, "Oh, you don't eat this and you don't eat that," and they think they're doing something good because they eat all of these vegetables and all of this different stuff. Like, I eat a few vegetables, but not like they do. It's some different stuff that I don't eat that they eat. And I'm thinking, yeah, but that stuff, it's got chemicals in it. Like, you ain't doing no better than me, but just because you claim that you eating this vegan diet, like you probably getting way more poison pushed into you than I am. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. Oh man, I wish somebody was listening to that right now.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. I think that people have programmed themselves or been programmed that these systems are beneficial, but when
Hmm.
you really start breaking it down to the natural order of things, people having purpose in their life, I mean, there people have lost their purpose because everything is too easy. We have an abundance of products to satisfy our everlasting human want. We have an abundance of food, even though 90% of it's killing you and you don't even know it because it's the slow death, not the immediate. The medical system doesn't cure diseases.
It
It's
treats the
symptoms
symptoms.
management. Yep,
Yes,
symptoms
yes.
management. And education isn't training, it's indoctrination. You are being
Hmm.
trained how to be a worker and to be a compliant. You better sit down, raise your hand, do as you're told, abide by this schedule, 9 to 5, march to your next class. You know, all this nonsense that is not of the
You
natural
ever heard
order.
about how like and when we was coming up in school, the bell, the bell
Yep,
rings, you go to another class. The bell rings, you go to another class. When the bell rings, you sit down because hey, it's time for you. You should be in this class now. So when that bell, like that teacher said, when that bell ring, you need to be in your seat. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we just indoctrinated people, but others think that they doing it. They think that they're doing something better than others, but they really not. We all kind of being conned, and we being led to believe something that's not really true. It's a facade, and we are basically all playing a game, and so which somebody is trying to win. You got others just trying to win, and others just like fuck it, I'm just gonna play the game for what it is. It- we live in a strange place right now, I'll say that. And I wish, like you say, we had more self determination, because I say this like for black people, because I like to speak on black people, but you know, even during the whole Jim Crow redlining era, they always bring up stats how we were more family oriented and things like that. It's like, yeah, because we were forced to be like that. So when you have things that are actually going against black people, as far as some people say, I'm thinking maybe some of us should hit rock bottom, because when black
yeah,
people's backs are against the wall, that's when we actually decide, look, we got to work together, okay? We got to get this done, and it's got to get done, and that's what we just going to do. We don't have all these crutches to fall back on and people to blame. And that's I actually kind of feel like we should get back to that, where okay, maybe our backs do need to be against the wall, because that's the only way that we're gonna function at our fullest capabilities, is if our backs are against the wall. That's
yep.
that's how I
It's
feel.
it's fight or flight. It's fight or flight.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
when I talk to people, I tell them, imagine that the country's economy collapses, the dollar is worth nothing. What are you going to do as far as survival? Do you have a community? Do you have anybody that you know that produces food? Or are you strictly reliant on the systems? Are you reliant on the grocery store to have their shipment, to have their shelves full, to have their cabinets full, to have their freezers full? Well, people should have learned very, very quickly from COVID that these supply chains work off of a very, very tight margin. The, there is no safety net of when shit collapses, it's going to collapse quickly. There, all it takes is for one domino to start teetering, and once it falls, everything falls in line with it. It's the system is it's not perfect. It's very very corruptible. And it's very very fragile as far as its operation. We need to get off of that. We need to get back to stability. We need to get back to where we have a solid foundation, not this. Oh shit! Well, one shipment didn't come in, and now my entire business has failed for the next month. That's what the American economy is. Oh well, China stopped producing this part. Now I don't have repair parts for my products,
Hmm.
so all my product is sitting, not moving, not making money,
Hmm.
not being productive. It's useless. And I think when we go back to, how Americans or just how humans
So,
used to interact, you had community.
so do you? Because I like that's why I was getting pissed off. When Trump was getting in office, and how a lot of people were saying, well, he's making it so we don't get our certain supplies that we need from China and this, and that. I'm thinking, well, that's the point, is because we should actually start making things on our own again, like we used to, manufacturing things, so we don't have to be dependent on other countries. And I get a lot of people don't like Trump, but I think, like, no, we should be able to manufacture our own things. What do you think
Regulation's a
about
big part of that. Regulation's a big part of that. So government regulation is done through lobbying. Lobbying is to kill your competitors. So if you have the bigger wallet, I can kill my competition very, very easily.
that?
Um, Regulation is there, but then again, it's been corrupted. Regulation was meant so that a company couldn't hurt anybody intentionally. Well, that's null and void because you give pharmaceutical companies a pass every single day. I don't know. I don't watch regular television, but when my children watch like Hulu or whatever, they'll get commercials, and they're all pharmaceutical commercials.
All pharmaceutical.
And it's like, okay, you have you have the pharmaceutical companies peddling drugs to you, and this is the only country in the world in which they can advertise. And it's like, if you give them a pass, regulations don't work anymore. It's a failed system. It needs to be abolished and start over. I would really like the United States government, because it is tyrannical, it's authoritarian, it wants to tell you everything. We need to get back to the Constitution where it's not identity politics. It's you can congregate with who you wish. If you want to have a certain religion, you have the freedom to practice that. You can't impose your will on people who have a different ideology, but you can cooperate so that there's not violence. But people have been programmed that there's a superiority complex and you have to be domineering over the next person. That's why I can't get any liberals on my podcast to debate. They can only debate on their podcast because they have to have the upper hand. They do not want to debate actual facts, and then it's you can't introduce logic. It's all about emotion and feeling. And let's go look at the actual law. Well, I don't need to read the law. This person, this pundit, interpreted it for me. I'm just going to parrot what they said. I'm not actually going to look into the documents. People don't use first sources anymore. They rely on Tom, Dick, Harry, Susan, Paul, and Pal to give them their opinion, and it usually comes from some media outlet, which comes from programming. Television programming, radio program is to manipulate the masses to have a general consensus. And people get mad at me because they're like, "Oh, well, you're crazy." And that's why I chose the name, because if you can automatically look at my name and say that any idea that comes out of my head is, well, you're perfect, you're named perfectly, you're a lunatic. Yes, because I know that you're so close-minded to information that you don't want to listen to anything, and that's
Mm-hmm.
a problem. And just like that lady, you didn't want to hear it. You're just completely blinders on. This is how I feel. This is what I interpret this as, and that is what it is, even though it's absolutely not that. But that's how people have it in their heads. They create these things in their heads, and it's just like, how do you combat that? Do you use re-education programs? Do you put them into camps to change their ideology? And that's completely un-American. But yet again, that's the language that's being used now with political ideology. People don't understand. There's more than just left and right. There's more than Democrat and Republican. You have libertarians. You have We the People Party. You have Democratic Socialists. You have communists. You have all these demographics. But yet again, it's propagated over and over again. This is the two-party system. Here are your two candidates. But when you really look into elections, the last presidential election, there was over 100 people that were running, not just two.
Yeah. And speaking of that, what you were saying, just talking about black people once again, it's like they so embedded with just one party. You know what I mean? and
Mhm.
it's just like you can't get them off of it. Okay, okay, I'm a conservative, and I know, like you say, there's tons of other parties and other people out there who you can vote for, but still, like I have so many of my family and friends that no matter what I say, no matter what I do, they don't want to hear it, bro. If it's not democratic, like they don't even want to listen to what I got to say, you know, and they're so brainwashed, which is something that they'll say about me. And I'm thinking, well, the majority of what is it, like 88% of black people will vote for Democrats, but I'm brainwashed. It's like, and then you ask them that this is a game that a lot of black people play with other folks. Well, what did the other party? What policies do you like? And you'll say, hold up, wait a minute. What policies do you like from the Democrats? And you know what they do? They kind of get stuck, and they just like And I'm thinking, I just laugh, libertarian, because I'm like, you posing a question to me that you can't even answer.
Well, there's a whole series of people on YouTube that would go up to people in public and give them the policies of a candidate and say that it was the opposite candidate. And they're like, oh yeah. And then they find out, no, that was the actual competitor. And then they're shocked.
Mhm.
It's people are programmed to talking points on television instead of actually looking at public policy, the laws, what's actually in the laws. They rather take what the pundits say, and that's just being lazy. I don't think people put much stake into this stuff just because they're so worried about going through their daily routine. They're just worried about their survival daily that they don't have time to put into that, and that's where the politicians and these systems take advantage. Is because people are too busy worried about the rat race. They're not worried about what Joe Q politicians talking about because they know that it's all nonsense anyway. But they'll still go along with the program even though they know it's nonsense, and that's fucking crazy.
And just like you were saying earlier, they associate, okay, for black people, they associate racists with one party, with the Republican Party and whatnot. And I'm like, bro, that's why I have gotten so far from that, because like you say, it doesn't matter what a lot of these people look like. If they align with the way that I'm thinking, that's who I need to be rocking with. That's who I need to be rolling. I don't need to be just, oh, I did like what you was talking about, identity politics. Just because somebody black, I don't need to just vote for them because they black. They don't have my best interests at heart. You know what I'm saying? If the lunatic libertarian got my best interests at heart, I'm rolling with lunatic libertarian. I'm not going with the black lady because you telling me, oh, she's black. Th- oh, lunatic libertarian is giving me policies and telling me what he can do. I think I'm gonna roll with that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I'm just done with that whole identity politics stuff, because it when you realize that it doesn't benefit you, which I know for some people it takes them a long time to come to certain conclusions, but for me, I'm just like I can't do it, and I'm not buying into everybody's races who don't look like me, and these people hate me, and that's not true. I don't care. I don't care. Even if we don't agree on everything 100%, if I'm more
Hmm.
in the line with you, I'm going that way. That's just what it is.
Well, Roddy, I gotta tell you, I'm a racist. I'm a racist.
Hey.
I hate everybody equally. I I'm Puerto Rican and white. My mother's Puerto Rican. My father's
Mhm.
white. I talk to people all the time. You white. That's what I get told. You white. They completely
Mhm. Mhm.
disregard any other ethnicity that I'm mixed with. It's just funny to me that when you talk to people,
I'm gonna stop you right there, lunatic. I got my own biases, and I know you've probably heard me on this. It's certain groups and certain customs. I say that, and things that I don't like about some people. I'm just gonna be honest with you. But at the end of the day, if the things that you say align with what I'm saying with, That's probably where I'm gonna go now. But
Well,
but continue. I don't want to stop your train of thought.
it's the fact that you can be labeled something, right? You can be a racist, you can be a phobe, right? You're a homophobe, you're a transphobe, you're racist against white people, you're racist against black people, you're racist against blue people. It's like I grew up on the north side of Milwaukee. Everybody in my school was black. I was probably one of the only people that wasn't black. It's fucking hilarious now, 30 years later, that I'm being told that I'm white. And it's like, okay, well, if I told you that you're blue and you can only be blue, you would say that I'm a racist. It's just the secularism is just it's beyond me because it's you're creating a superiority complex and it's not what reality is. You have bad actors no matter what race, what country, what neighborhood, and then you have good actors, but yet again, it's who you align with. I try and get people to say it doesn't matter because it's all about everybody prospering. What's wrong with that? We have enough resources. What's wrong with everybody prospering? But it goes into, well, I was programmed that I should have more. I should be up on this pedestal. I should be. And it's just you can't reason with people that are illogical. It's just
Hmm.
you just can't.
I want to point out something that happened. I don't. When was this? I don't know if you remember. It was an instance where, and this is kind of unrelated, but kind of related, where Al Sharpton. It was the whole boycott Target crap or whatever, right?
Hmm.
And it was a clip, and he goes to Costco. He has black people with him. Y'all go buy stuff out of Costco because we boycotting Target. He walking around Costco. He
Oh,
doesn't buy one thing from Costco. He walks outside and all the black people follow him outside. And he got to say, no, 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 y'all go back in and buy something from Costco because we bought. I'm just, you cannot make this up, bro. He didn't buy nothing, but
mhm.
he's telling y'all to go in there and buy something because he's boycotting Target and y'all should be boycotting Target. So y'all just playing follow the leader.
Well, why does Al Sharpton still have a platform? You know, he's an FBI informant. You know, his history is
I pointed
proven.
that out.
like,
I pointed that out.
I'm not trying to bash on leaders of certain communities, but we have to look at what the reality of these people are. They're not supposed to be put on pedestals. They're just another human being, just like anybody else. I mean, you can look at Al Sharpton, you can look at Jesse Jackson, you can look at all these people that are put into the spotlight, and you can poke holes in anybody's life. Nobody is perfect. But yet again, you can't be this morally superior entity and then find out later on that you're full of shit because then you're just a hypocrite. If people were to be more honest with themselves and with everybody they're around, I think people would be a little, but people are they're too isolated. They have that insecurity. They need to be protected, so they put on this facade, and then yet again, it's politicians do it, movie stars do it, people on the internet do it. It's when you can be completely genuine that people can't cancel you. That's why you
Exactly.
have this guy. What was his name? Nick Fuentes. This
Hmm.
fucking guy. I think he's probably one of the biggest cowards in the world, but yet again, because he's authentic in himself and everything he says, you can't poke holes in him. You may not like the shit that he says. I know I don't like a lot of stuff that he says, but to be an authentic person, you can't get holes poked into your life. Mike Tyson, another example. That guy's completely honest to a fault. You can't poke holes into a person's life like that, and people hate that shit because then they can't fall on the securities that they build in their own minds of what this person is. They have to believe the facade, not the reality. And that's one thing that I think people need to be more honest. You can't, when I debate people, they're like, "Oh, you're a racist." sure, I'm a racist. I've had interactions with people of other races that I didn't like, and I'm okay. Well, I'm a racist. Okay.
I'm
Oh,
just
well,
saying.
you're homophobic. Well, I'm not
Yes.
really scared of gay people. I actually met my wife because her gay friend wanted to hit on me and sent her to come talk to me. That's how I met my wife.
Mhm.
But I'm not scared of gay people. I'm not scared of trans people. And I'm not scared. This is just all
Mhm.
nonsense that creates this sensationalized idea in somebody's head of, oh my God, it's just like what the Christians used to do back in the day. Oh, you're pagan and you're a Satan and devil.
Mhm.
It's like it's just sensationalism to try and get people to act a certain way. It's just another form of control.
And it's this thing that where we all should just get along. When we know that's not true, that's not reality. That's not life. You know what I mean? I don't like everybody. You don't like everybody. Even the liberals who claim that they like everybody, they don't like everybody. Like just get off, like you say, get off your high horse. Stop trying to act like you got the moral high ground, and just be honest. That's it.
Well,
Because
they talk about, oh, well, all white people. I'm sorry, but not all white people are united with all white people. Not all black people are united with all black people.
so
That is
ain't.
just nonsense. But you'll have these talking heads using these points, and it's like that's not reality. But you're making it reality just to prove a point.
Mhm. It's ridiculous, man. It's
Yes.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Hey, but if
Man,
you're a racist, own that shit. If you're a phobic, own it. Own it.
exactly. Exactly. It was in the even back then we when you had Ku Klux Ku Klux Klan members and some black people who actually had sat down and had discussions because they were just honest, like, yeah, I don't like black people, and the black dude was like, yeah, I don't like y'all, and I don't like white people, but they came to certain agreements about certain things,
Mhm.
and like that, because that's okay. I'll put it like this: like when I seen this clip of this white, I guess, community that they were trying to start. I can't remember where it was, but they wanted it to be all white. And I seen black people like, oh, they racist. This I'm like, look, you can do the same thing. We live in America. If we want to get somewhere and do our own thing, we can do just like they doing. I don't know specifically how they had it set up or what type of uh I don't know how they got past, where they could get sued for being discrimination and things like. But they set this community up where it's going to be majority white people, well, all white people living here, uh, 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 practicing group economics. I said we can do the same thing. Don't get mad at them. You can just do the same thing. And and also somebody brought this up, the forced integration thing was really bad for black people because I think as long as we were integrated, all we had to do was just stay integrated for so long. But we making products, having goods and services. They making products, having goods and services. Over time, we will eventually come together and be like, "Look, I got something that you may want to buy. You got something that I may want." It would have been more natural where we was like, a lot of this other shit is just stupid, man. You want to trade this? You want to sell that? Come on, let's do this. But when you
Mhm.
forced everybody, it made people have certain levels of resentment towards a group. Like, I can't stand them because they just made me go to school with these people. They just made me go to a building and sit next to this person. If it was just a natural thing, it would have been a whole lot better. So yeah,
Well, I
I
mean, anytime that you create any kind of prohibition, the natural instinct is to go against.
mm-hmm,
So alcohol is prohibited. I gotta go give me something to drink.
mm-hmm.
Cannabis prohibited. I gotta go give me something to
Get
smoke.
some smoke. Mm-hmm.
I mean, and another thing that kills me is that you have all these people that are relying on this mental health disorders now, right? Everything is a mental health disorder. Well, I get into debates with people that say, okay, well, which philosophy are we using? Are we using Freud's or are we using Jung's? Because if you're using Freud's, you have to understand that that was created by somebody that was a cocaine powder addict and a pedophile, but he created modern psychology. But then if you go to Jung, it's completely opposite of Freud.
Now
So,
I haven't heard of Jung, but I've heard of Sigmund Freud.
yep, look up Carl Jung. I
Okay,
mean,
I'm
if
gonna look
you
at Carl Jung.
if you listen to know who Jordan Peterson is,
I know
Jordan
Jordan.
Peterson rejects more of Freud's teachings and incorporates more of Carl Jung's. And
Okay.
being under the treatment of mental health, right, for at the VA, I went and started reading the DSM. I started reading these diagnostic manuals, and then coming to find out that you look at the trouble trees and they're not repeatable. That is not science. And then if you look at the psychological community or the American Psychological Association, they have created another 100 or 150 more psychological disorders in the past 100 years. So did they just get better at their job, or do they create a system in which they needed to still be operational? They
Hmm.
created more incentives for their system to exist.
Hmm.
I don't know.
That makes sense. No, that makes
But
a
yeah,
lot
I
of sense.
can sit and debate about a lot of topics pretty much all day. I mean, you want to talk about isolated healthcare, we can talk about healthcare. You want to isolate just politics, we can. If you wanted to dissect the Texas state legislation, I'd sit down with you for hours and let's go through it. Let's go through code 1 through code 10 million
Hmm.
and start really informing people of what's going on out here. What is the reality versus the perception of the reality that is being broadcasted to you? Because if you were to look at the internet, the television in the United States, and let's just say I'm from an indigenous tribe that's been isolated from the world for the past 100 years, and I start looking at this television, I'm going to think that everybody is fucking crazy and everybody hates each other and everybody wants to kill each other. But if you go out and interact in the world, it's not like
It's not
that.
like that. Yeah. Hmm. 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 It's that programming that you was talking about. Programming. We program.
Hmm.
Like you say, like like I was saying, a lot of black people are programmed to think that a lot of white people are racist. They're not. I literally just went to Walmart today, bought something. A white employee helped me. Went to a register where a white man was there who checked me out, didn't be racist towards me. And then when I walked out the door, a white man held the door for me and was like, "Have a nice day." But they would lead me to believe, like, man, they all racist, man. They don't like you. Like, but then they'll turn around and say, treat people the way you want to be treated. Well, this man just treated me with respect. So why would I turn around and be like, man, that dude is racist? He's white, he's racist. No, he actually just was nice to me. He didn't have an issue with me. He said, let me hold the door for this brother. And he seen me come going out. He was coming. He was like, yeah, you have a good day. And he went on about his business. But they want me to believe this man, he hate me so much that he would never hold the door for me. He wouldn't even look my way. He would never acknowledge me or
Yep.
anything like that. But
Yep.
hey, that's the world we live in.
Well,
And you
and
try to
everything is
tell people
cultural
this stuff and they don't
appropriation.
want to hear it.
I'm listening to Tupac. That's cultural appropriation. It has nothing to do with growing up and listening to the music because it was on everybody's stereo in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? It's not. It's funny because it's like, well, if you listen to polka, are you culturally appropriate? Like, it's if you were to apply it to other things, it doesn't make sense anymore. It's
Hmm.
like, yeah, I square dance, man, and I wear clogs, and man, you're culturally appropriating the Dutch. You shouldn't be doing that. Like, what are we doing here?
Hmm.
It.
Hmm.
I don't understand it. Me personally, I enjoy multiple cultures. I enjoy being American because I can enjoy the cultures of so many around the world. If I want to go have Indian food, jerk chicken, go to a salsa club and drink mojitos, I can do that all within a 10 block radius.
Hmm.
That's some special shit. You can't go to any other countries and see that shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I like shit. We all don't need to be the same, man. We got to be different so you can enjoy stuff. If everybody was the same, it wouldn't be nothing to enjoy. I want to go to Japan because that's one of the places that I really want. I want to go see some of the stuff that I've seen on TV and experience that. I don't want to go there and see a bunch of black people doing black stuff or just Asian people acting like they black. Like, and I know you just said the culture, but like, I just I want to see y'all doing what Asians do, and I just want to see. Okay, let me try this, something different. But man, we just live in a very very upside down world, just like on Stranger Things. I don't know if you've seen that, but this is the ups. We live in an upside down world, man.
Hey, just imagine, if you don't abide by stereotypes, you screwed up. But then if you abide by stereotypes and use stereotypes, then you a crazy person,
Yeah,
right? You
yeah.
you're talking black. You're talking this way. You're talking white. What the fuck does that even mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, what does that even
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
You know, I mean, if you can be any skin, I mess with people and I'll be like, who the only white people on the planet are? They're albinos. There's the only white people literally on the planet are albinos. And people will be like, that's a black man, that's a black woman, that like there's albinos
In
in reptiles, in mammals, and
everything, everything. I seen albino Asian people. When I looked that shit up, I said, "What the hell?" So that's when I was like, "It's albinos in everybody's lineage, bro. It's crazy. Even white people. It's
and then you
crazy."
really white, and then you really white.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy, man. I tell people, get outside the labels, titles, and categories of your programming. Really try and experience the world outside of your one block radius and read. Stop watching all this shit on TV and don't read the new stuff. Go read the shit from the 1850s.
Yeah.
Go read the stuff from the 1870s, the 1600s. Go read literature that it's not patented, it's not copywritten. They can't hold it from you. Go really seek out what people were thinking about. We wouldn't have the Three Musketeers unless a black man wrote the book, and
Mm-hmm.
that was back in the 1600s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a what was it? His last name's Smalls. I can't think of his first name. Very first black elected congressman in the 1600s. What is his name? Curtis Smalls, I think his name was.
There was it I know who you're talking about. He escaped in the barrel and all of that stuff like that.
He took
Yeah.
over a Confederate ship
Yeah.
and joined.
Yeah.
Yeah, became a commander in the
Mhm.
Navy. Like, yeah, like
Mhm.
let's really get into real history.
Mhm.
Let's stay out of these last 60-year talking points. Let's really go through the timeline of humanity. And when you look at it, there's been no real superiority, right? The Muslims controlled Spain for 300, 400 years. They controlled Europe. They controlled the slave trade. Then you had the Scandinavians that came over, and then they got annihilated by the natives, and the natives took over to land from other natives. And like, there's been not one superior group. It's shifted throughout the
Mhm. It
centuries.
just shifted so many black people were in Europe and then they got conquered and that's why it's majority white. It's like, yeah. It's just this stuff is going back and forth, back and forth. It's just a pendulum.
Hmm
But a lot of people just think it's all one sided. They don't. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And like
So
you
human
said,
cooperation is the best thing that we have. We should learn from our history that human cooperation is how we move forward, not competition.
hmm and speaking on what you was talking about, how 1850s and even before that, like if you read some of the books and stuff, and it's almost like they was prophesizing some things, like the way that we would live today, even like just like the Jetsons. Like all the stuff. You go back and watch the Jetsons, it's like that technology is what we doing now. He talking to his boss on the TV screen like he's having a Zoom meeting. Actually, he's actually on Zoom.
Calling
Yeah,
Dick Tracy.
the
You
the,
know, the
the Dick
watch
Tracy
that
watch.
actually had the
Hmm.
transmitter. Yeah, I mean,
Yep, it's like it's kind of crazy how they probably thought that they were thinking far out, but nah, they was really spot on. They
yeah,
was
I
really
mean, if
spot on.
you brought up the Jetsons, right? So I just saw a crazy conspiracy where it's the Jetsons live in the upper part, and the Flintstones live on the surface of the
Yeah, I
Earth.
heard that. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
cataclysm, and the rich live up in the clouds where they got all the technology and all the wealth, and then you have all the poor people that live in bedrock on the surface trying to rebuild the shit because well they got televisions, they got telephones. It's obviously not the ancient past.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I
Hmm.
mean, we all, but yet again, that goes into the programming of people. It's just like in the movies, right? So you have Independence Day, you have what was the movie that the Obamas produced that was on Netflix? That there was a big thing about for the collapse of America. Um,
Uh, I know it. Is was it the one?
Leave the World
Uh,
Behind or something. I think it right. Leave the
yeah.
World Behind.
Didn't they have all the Teslas that was piled up?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I saw that.
So that goes into your it's what do they call it, preemptive programming or something like that, where you're slowly introducing the idea. Now, if you most conspiracy theorists, they have to show you in the public, but you won't realize it till 20 years later that this was actually what they're doing, like music, and it's all rituals and it's satanic, and it gets into like it really goes into you are being programmed to be a certain way. I say, well, if you use the word association game, right? If I were to say veteran, felon, patriot, your brain instantly goes into describing those three words and how you were programmed,
Hmm.
and a lot of people cannot reject programming, but that's what we call NPCs now, people that lack critical thinking skills, and they
Hmm.
just ride along with the program. You know, it, there's more people that don't run with the program and understand that there's friction there, and that's what causes mental health, that's what causes physical health detriment, is that they can feel that they're not operating as their intentions are. They're not fulfilling their purpose, and until we can get people to actually start fulfilling their purpose, I think we're just going to start running in circles.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we gonna start running in circles too. I just wish that we would come up off a lot of this programming, like you say, that we just on, because
Well, if
it's
the
hard
world
to break
collapsed.
out of that. It's really hard to break out of that, because I could feel like even me, because like I say, I thought a certain way for so many years, and I just always thought that I was gonna think like that, and I could see how I would have gotten stuck into that way of thinking if I never just at least listen to the other side or listen to different people. You know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of those people don't have the ability to even listen or just take the time to read something that has a different opinion than you. So that's how you can never come out of there if you're not even willing to even stick your toe into what the other side or somebody else is talking about. If you just
Yep.
want confirmation bias, then you're gonna be stuck. And I could honestly see how I could have easily gotten stuck into one line of thinking. I just know I could have. But I'm glad I'm
Well,
not like that.
what
You
did
know.
Samuel L. Jackson say in Pulp Fiction? As alcoholics would say, I had a moment of clarity, right? And there are those moments. For me, it was me waking up in a hospital bed after a suicide attempt, and I had to reevaluate my whole existence of why did I want to kill myself? Was it me or was it what I was participating in? Fortunately for me, I found out it was how I was functioning in my life and what systems I was participating in. As soon as I started eliminating those systems, I started finding my purpose. I found my spirituality. I found my wife. I have children now. I was a single man at 28 years old trying to kill myself. But then you have a moment where life is not going the way that you want it. There's a situation that happens, and you have that moment of clarity where I need to really like figure out my life, because this going clubbing and trying to keep up with the Joneses and have the nicest car, the shoes, the clothes, that's all shit programmed into you. You have to meet the societal standard of this class of people, right? If you're not a millionaire wearing Armani suits and have 130,000 Patek Philippe on your wrist, then you ain't gonna be in this class of people. If I don't have the newest vehicles on 22s with music and all that, then I'm not in that class of people, right? I threw all that shit away. Was like, I'm gonna create my own class of person, and that was the lunatic libertarian. And it's like, I'm not going to run away from who I am now. I'm very happy of who I am. I have my skill sets as far as my occupational. I can fall back on HVAC, being a diesel mechanic, a gas mechanic, a welder. I can go into, I can start my own business to do certified welding inspection. I have all this opportunity now based on the knowledge that I've obtained over the years. And I became wise in that knowledge through failure. And that's one thing that people need to understand is failure is not a bad thing. Failure will make you a better person.
That's the truth. Because me, like you say, having all of these certain things made you think a certain way. Because me, man, I come from a nice home. I had both my parents. My parents had good jobs, but I got caught up in the street life. And when I was in the street life, see, because I'm not dumb, like I'm smart. So that was a bad combination. I mean, I'm making money hand over fist. I'm driving nice cars. I got money in my pocket. And the moment that I didn't have all of those things, I thought I was a failure, right? So I went through that whole phase, and then I'm started thinking I'm depressed, and then I got on the antidepressants, that they were prescribing me. And then one day I was like, let me just get off of them. And you always hear things like you don't want to just come off of that stuff; it'll be bad for you. And I said, no, I'm just gonna get off of it. And when I got off of it, I was like, I don't need antidepressants. I don't need the like. It didn't do nothing. Like I felt normal. I was like, I actually feel like myself without this stuff. And then just like you say, things just started to change for me. I was like, I don't need like right now. I used to smoke weed and stuff. I'm like, I don't need to smoke. I don't need to do it. And I'm not saying that people who smoke weed, use it as a crutch. Some people just like to smoke weed, but I'm like, bro, I was using it like to be chill and calm and shit. But I'm like, I don't even need that. Like, I can just get up in the morning, go to the gym, walk in the park, do whatever I need to do, and I'm perfectly fine. Like, I don't need all of
Yep.
that stuff that they try to make you believe. Oh, I need these pills and I need this drink and I need to have a good time and I need some bitches around me and I need the truck with the 24s and yeah, I don't need all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? So but that's a fact, man.
Well, they sell you consumerism, right?
Hmm.
You're somebody. If you have somebody else's name on you, that makes you somebody. Like, think of
Hmm.
how crazy that is. I'm wearing Michael Jordan's last name, not mine. I'm wearing Balenciaga's last name, not mine. I'm wearing Tommy Hilfiger's name, not mine. I'm wearing Gucci's name, not mine. This is somebody else's last name that established themselves to be, quote unquote, higher up on the echelon. But where do we start putting personal pride into it to where I want my last name to be worn by everybody?
Hmm. Shit, that's a fact. That's a fact. A lot of people don't even think like that. Like you said, they just think, shit, I need somebody else's last name on me. That's what's gonna make me somebody. It's like, no, that's not gonna make you nobody. You actually just putting more money into that person with that last name's pockets, and you ain't getting nothing out of it. But you think you are, you know.
Well, I
And you
mean,
can probably
Hennessy,
find that
that's
same shirt somewhere without that name on it. But you think it's not the same because it doesn't have that name on it.
right. Well, Hennessy, that's somebody's last name. Heineken, that's
Mhm.
somebody's last name. Ferrari, Lamborghini. These are all people's last names that are now high end, high yield. You know, you are somebody. Well, how? Why is that? They established a higher end product. They said that they were the best of the best.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. And they took pride in what they who they are, and like, no, my last name is worth this amount of dollars. So this is what I want because I'm worth this. You know,
Yeah.
you make that's a good point. That's a good point. Hmm.
Henry Ford, that's somebody's last name.
Hmm.
You know, Dodge, the Dodge brothers, that's somebody's last name.
Hmm.
You know, Trump, Trump
Yeah.
Enterprises, that's somebody's last name.
Yeah.
Like, like his name is so popular, people are like, oh, either it's said and I fucking hate this person, or oh my god, they're the next coming of the savior. It's like
Hmm.
that's somebody's last name that has established themselves to where you can instantly it's recognizable. Instantly. You say Ferrari, people know what a Ferrari is. You say
Exactly.
Lamborghini, they know what a Lamborghini is.
Hmm. Hmm.
You say Heineken, they know that's a beer. You say Hennessy, they know that that's a high end cognac. I mean, it's crazy.
Hmm. Even with Mac, like iPhones and stuff. You say that Apple, Mac, and people like, shh, yeah, I got to have that. I got to have that. You
Yep.
know. So yeah, it's a strange place we living in. But man, look, I'm about to get off of here, and I appreciate you talking to me. I'm about to change the name of this because I like the conversation that you have. I really wish that we could get more people to kind of have this kind of conversation. You know.
I'm trying to build it. I mean, there's a bunch of I think that I'll mention a couple shows. Just to let you know, like there's Freedom's March is a channel. There is another channel that's the what the I'll be right back. I grab my phone because I want to
Go
say
ahead.
the name, but it's there's YouTube channels that are actually talking about this stuff, and they don't have like 10,000 viewers or 1,000 viewers. They're very shadow banned, and their connection because it doesn't promote the chaos. They're trying to promote unity, and that's not something that's going to be promoted as far as the algorithms. They want the chaos. They want the division. They want
Hmm.
the fighting. So
And
let
see,
me, yeah.
I don't want to because some of the things that I get into, I guess you could call it division. You know, because I'm a part of something that we call it delineation. And it's kind of conflicting with me. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's because I'm open to hearing a lot of other people, but overall, a lot of people that I deal with and a lot of people that I talk to, they're not really open to a lot of the things that I'm open to, right? Like the whole black thing. See, I don't think that Africans are black. I don't think the Caribbeans are black people. If you're not black American, then I don't consider you black because other melanated groups have called themselves just whatever they are. They're Africans or they've
They're going to tell
always
you what tribe
separated.
they're from.
Yeah, they're gonna tell us what tribe they're from. They always separated themselves from the black Americans. So, I could honestly talk to other people. I I I'm just different than people who I associate with. Like I'm more open to things that they're just not open to. You know what I'm saying? Which is actually a conflict for me with those people, but I still like to talk to those. You know what I'm saying? So I deal with some things here personally within myself that, to be honest with you, I don't want to change because I like what they say too. Like I'm with it. you know, but at the same time, like I say, I'm open to hearing other people's thoughts, and I'm not as closed minded as some of them are.
Well, and you'll have people that isolate themselves to the white perspective, the black perspective, the Hispanic perspective, right? Or here's the Mexican perspective, or the Puerto Rican, or the Dominican. And that's why I said earlier, there's no unity amongst all white people, all black people. You have to meet a certain criteria in order to, congregate with certain people. You know, for me, it's you ain't black. That's fine. I know I'm not black. I grew up in a black neighborhood. I grew up around nothing but black people. I didn't grow up around Puerto Rican people. I didn't grow up around a bunch of white people. That's just, but people like, oh, you talk this way. It's like I can talk a certain way when I'm around a certain people, but if I'm around a comfortable set of people to where I can be my true self, that's the thing is being your true self, and people can't handle that. You know,
Hmm.
there's a boxer. His name's Caleb Plant, right? White dude doesn't act white according to the typical stereotypical shit. Is that something that's wrong? No, that's how he grew up. That's his personality. That's not something you can take away from him. You know what I mean? But because we live in this isolationist kind of society now, where it's either white or black, there is no in between.
Hmm.
They're only white or black. If you Puerto Rican, you either black Puerto Rican or you white Puerto Rican. Like, what kind of shit is that?
Hmm.
But I mean, there's a righteous perspective. That's a channel on YouTube that is mostly black people, but they're not talking in a conservative or liberal. They're talking about problems versus solutions. And then you have also, like your channel, Roddy Rod. You got Larry Sharp. You got a bunch of channels that are talking about unity, but then you have all these channels that are talking about, well, what pronouns do you use? If you call into the show, I'm a MAGA person, I'm a this, I'm a that, and then you have to completely agree and be a part of that movement. If you defer from one ideology, well, you're not a part of this movement. It's like, come on, man, are we really that secular now?
Hmm. I think in some senses, yeah, lunatic. I think we are. I'm seeing it's a lot of people like that. I am seeing
Hmm.
that. Um, um, like I say, I'm dealing with that. I am dealing with that because, like I say, those people when even when you get down to the nitty gritty of why they are the way they are, I can really understand it. I can
Hmm.
understand. It's like that's why I'm conflicted because it's almost the way that I think about certain things and the way how I perceive them. I don't want people to think like, well, I guess I could say I don't want people to think, but I know it comes off as to people like, damn, he's just trying to play both sides, but I'm really not. I'm like really understanding. Like I can understand your perspective and understand where you're coming from, and actually, in a sense, agree with your perspective, and also agree with this other person's perspective too. You know what I'm saying? It's just it makes me feel like, damn, like you just a fence straddling, and I'm not. I don't even know how to even explain it, but I know you get what I'm saying. It
No,
just
I get
puts
what
me
you're
in a
saying.
bad place, bro.
Well, if you were to like me, if I were to isolate only as a veteran, right? I'm only isolating myself to one group or category. I
Hmm.
can't expand off of that. You know, I and for me in the life that I've lived, I've interacted with so many people and I've been around the world. I've interacted with so many people that it's kind of like I can't have that isolationist mentality just because of my life experiences. I was never isolated to just, oh, I only know. I mean, a lot of people are like this. I only know my block. I don't know anything outside of my block. Like to go to another city is like I'm traveling to a whole nother country. Some people, if they travel to another neighborhood, it's like traveling to a whole nother country. So you do have people that are isolated geographically, but The internet should have provided everybody with the ability to obtain the cultures of the world or the information of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't use it for that. They use it for entertainment. They don't use it for exposure to any kind of like knowledge base. It's just 10 seconds, 30-second snippets of entertainment, and I get my dopamine hit and I keep on rolling.
And I'll say this as another example too. We be on Twitter Spaces a lot, and I can remember when I first started going on Twitter Spaces. We would have these clashes with different groups. It'd be the Black Americans and Africans and even white supremacists. And I can remember this time we was having discussions with white supremacists, and it was crazy how all the black people I'm gonna just say it, our racist ways. Some of us who is the when I talk to those people, you could perceive me as being racist. I'm not even gonna
Mhm.
lie to you, but talking to them, it was almost like, damn. We was sitting there, everybody at the point, everybody was sitting there like, I agree with them racist mother,
Yeah.
and they was agreeing with us. Like it was the craziest shit, and I'm just thinking like, damn, this is crazy. This is
You can
crazy.
find nuance in
Mm-hmm.
people. You can find nuance in life. It's life. Everybody needs to breathe. Everybody needs to eat, and everybody needs to consume water in order
Mm-hmm.
to survive. That's where nuance is. Now, whether you have oppression of one group versus another, right? If I was a white person growing up in an inner city, pick an inner city, right, and I was mostly around black people, I would be isolated. And I would probably be picked on. I would probably be, have, egregious things happen to me because I'm in that neighborhood. Do it the other way. It's the same thing. Do it the be any kind of person. Go into a Jewish neighborhood. You isolated as fuck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go into an Asian neighborhood. I mean, and it gets real secular. Like, here's the Hmong neighborhood. Here's the Laotian neighborhood. Here's the Japanese neighborhood. So like I said, the whole unity amongst one demographic of people, it just doesn't exist. It doesn't. You got white people that can be in the blackest of neighborhoods, and that motherfucker is tried and true to the life that he's lived or she's lived. And the people around them will tell you, nah, that motherfucker over there, no, 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 he different or she different, and then it's understood. But the people that understand that are the ones that know that person. If that person went into another city, right, and acted the same kind of way, okay, well, that person's not known, right?
Mm-hmm.
So geographically, it's not acceptable for me to act a certain way in Texas versus New York versus Florida. These are like different countries.
Nah,
So
this is
everybody's
crazy.
raised different,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, like you say, you can find commonalities with people that you wouldn't think that you would. It's crazy. It's crazy. I've experienced it, so yeah, you ain't lying, man.
I
You ain't
mean,
lying.
I went to jail and there was a Latin king in my pod that was Hmong,
That's
okay?
strange.
And every third word was the N word.
Mm-hmm.
But people in there, oh no, they knew exactly who that person was. Like, nah, certified. Like he that person.
Mm-hmm.
But because you look at him and be like, oh, you see a 5'3" Asian person, you don't know that that person's a lag king
Mm-hmm.
because it's not Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
You can't apply stereotypes to everybody. It just that's not America anymore.
Yeah. It ain't. It ain't.
I mean,
But
there's
man,
popular Asian rappers that are Crips that are rapping, put out videos, and they are you gonna say that they can't say that? Nope. You got
I
Takashi
ain't gonna
six
say no
nine, a
names
Mexican
of
from New
rappers, but
York.
I've seen rappers go from red to blue. Like I ain't gonna say no, I ain't gonna say no names. But I've seen rappers go from red to blue.
Hmm.
So it's like,
Hmm.
okay. I remember when you had the red flag. Now you doing the blue flag. Okay. All right. All
So I
right.
mean, it's like, yeah, we can join groups. Groups are open to other people. It's not secular like what's being advertised. I mean, you can go to any hood in America. It's not going to be all black people in one gang. It's not going to be all white people in one gang. You're going to have a mix of people that represent what that organization's, representing.
In the hood, I was with the dudes I was with. It was a white boy in there. They called him White Boy Matt, and he was getting black girls, and everybody was fucking. I'm like, bro, that at the I didn't think about it, but now I'm like, that was strange. But back then, nobody didn't really. It was like, oh yeah, Matt, cool. We fuck with Matt. I'm like,
Paul
okay.
Wall. Look at Paul
Paul
Wall.
Wall. Hey, and even when it comes to like people like Paul Wall, you even listen to what he'll say. He'll tell you, I don't use the N word. Like, I fuck with them, and I grew up around black people. I talk like I'm black. I act like I'm black, but I never used it. Even he just had like even that little respect. Like I ain't gonna go there, but shit, this is who I fuck with. This is me. Like this is me.
Yeah,
If I didn't put my picture on a record cover, you wouldn't know that I was a white dude. You would not know that I was a white guy.
right.
Shit, because I remember mixtapes coming up. I mean, we knew Paul Wall was white if you was in Texas, but some people who like moved down here and and we'd be listening to the chopped and screwed and you know what I'm saying, and it kind of come like, oh no, Paul Wall, that's a white dude. They would be like, what? I'm like, that's a white boy, man. Like, hell no. Nah. They would be like, hell no. Nah. I'm like, nah, that's a white dude, bro. I'm telling you. So shit, you wouldn't know that. But nah, man, we got a good conversation, man. I'm about to get off here, but yeah, man. Like anytime I have these conversations with you, they be like I like what? This is 2 hours, going on 2 hours almost.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, I gotta
It's
try to
funny when
find
you
some
have
people. I
a
want to get more
open-minded
people on
person,
here.
you can have conversations for days. It doesn't matter you white,
Yeah.
black, brown, yellow, it don't matter.
Hmm.
Human beings are human beings, man. If we can
Hmm.
find common ground, we can find common ground.
Right. And if I see, I done started and stopped this live so many times. That's why it's not really pumping through the algorithm. That's why ain't nobody in here. But if I'd have set it up perfectly the first time, some people would have came through here. I'm pretty sure seeing you come on her, they would have came up like Gen X. He likes to come on her. So Gen X probably would have came up, and somebody else would have probably would have came up. But yeah, man, I kind of messed this live up when I came. I done started it like 3 times, and that's not good for the algorithm. They only gonna pump you like once every 24 hours. I done kind of figured that out. So yeah, man. Hopefully, it's some people who are watching because I've been getting some subs on just different stuff. So maybe one of those subs will pique somebody's interest to be like, let me go on there. Maybe when they hear you talking or Gen X or somebody else talking, and we can get back to having like 3 or 4 people like I used to, because I used to just have like the shows where we was talking about black relationships, and I got into it with a few people, man, but they should it shouldn't have been enough to leave, but they probably watch, and I know like this one lady, I know she still watches, but she won't come up here. So hopefully one day I can at least get her to come on here and talk, cause she'll talk about this stuff too. She'll talk about this stuff too.
Well,
But
I get
yeah,
into it
man.
with everybody. I get into it
Hey,
with everybody from
th-
Clubhouse to. I'm not on Twitter Spaces. I'm actually permanently banned from Twitter. So, um, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I got into the political realm probably like 3, 4 years ago, and
Mhm.
trying to get people to really look at their lives and find out what the real problem is. I think that. I bring up program, I bring up what people are taught and how they live their lives, and isolationism, secularism, and stuff like that. But it's trying to invoke thought. And
Right.
that's all you're trying to do. And sometimes I do it in a way that's not a perfect delivery. I know my delivery is not great, but I get under people's skin too, because I'm not going to let somebody tell me what I cannot say. You can't say this, you can't say that. And I just go off of it's freedom of speech. I use words that some people don't like me to use. That's freedom of speech. And I always go back to George Carlin when he talks about words, and it's always not the person delivering the words, it's who's receiving the message. And I think that a lot of people get it confused that, well, you're saying this. Well, you can turn me off whenever you want. You can shut your ears off whenever you want. But you can goat people into how can you affect their programming and put holes in it, and they can label you anything they want. Oh, you're a racist or you're this. Well, if you say, yeah, I'm a racist, I own it. I'm a phobic. I own it. Is there anything
Mm-hmm.
else that you really
Mm-hmm.
can say to me other than try and put something on me that makes you feel more secure? And a lot of people that don't have genuine arguments can only stay on that emotional tip.
That's a fact. Cause like man, I get around uh my girl, and if even between me and her, or if we're around a couple of other people and they might talk about politics or something, and she'll know like, oh yeah, I know he don't agree with this. And if I speak up, then I guarantee you they're gonna be like, damn, he an asshole. You know what I'm saying? So I've
Mhm.
been getting that for so long that I ain't gonna say I'm used to it, but it's just like I already know. As soon as I give my opinion, people gonna think I'm an asshole, I'm mean, all of these different things, and I'm just like, that's just not true. I just don't agree with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of these people just want to go along to get. I can't do it. I used to be like that, but I can't do it no more because it don't feel right. It don't feel
Yep.
genuine. So
Well, and what I find out is a lot of people want to revert back to saying that, oh yeah, well, I hold the superiority over violence, and I invite that too. Like, I
mhm.
went to the Golden Gloves when I was 40 years old. I got a silver medal sitting on my toolbox right now that
That's what's up.
nobody can take away from me. I'm a veteran of the United States military. I know some tactics that probably the streets didn't tell you, but I'm also from them streets too.
Hmm.
So it's like, yeah, we can all go and be like, oh, I'll whoop your ass, or I got that fire, and okay, you know, everybody does in this country. Everybody's got that mentality in them. But I think that we use it against each other instead of where it's actually supposed to be directed towards, and that's to our oppressors. And I don't care if you white, black, brown, or yellow. There are poor people all over this country that are being oppressed.
That's a
I
fact
don't
right
isolate
there.
it to just one group.
That's a fact. But man, let me get off here, man. I appreciate you coming through. I appreciate you coming up here. You didn't have to. I know you probably was just, wanted to watch or whatever, but I do appreciate you coming through and talking to me.
No problem, man. I'm here to engage people all the time, and I'm not afraid to show my face. I'm not afraid to you know, let people know who I am, where I am. I'm not out here to, sell dream tickets or anything, and I'm not afraid of people. I don't live in a world of fear, and I think a lot of people do, and I think that's something that a lot of people can't handle either. Is that I'm not getting emotional. I'll try and stay as stoic as possible when I'm talking about real arguments and real problems, and like I said, people want to, usually digress to violence or whatever, and or labeling you something that makes them feel superior. And I invite all that. I invite it all because in order to create change, you have to address stuff, and you can't be afraid to address it.
Yeah. No, that's a fact. Cause I'm not gonna
But I
lie.
appreciate you for having me on. I always appreciate people that want to have an honest conversation.
That's a fact, man. I appreciate you saying that. I do. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I like to get into bullshit too. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But look, just like everybody else, even like I said with those other people, we was arguing and we got into some bullshit, and I enjoy it sometimes going taking it to the max. But like I told him,
Yeah.
look, a little bit of this is entertainment. I was trying to. It was like 30 people who was watching for like a week. I was like, shit, I'm trying to kind of keep some people. It's just a little bit of entertainment. We know it's bullshit, but I think they kind of took it too serious. I'm like, bro, it's just bullshit. Just let's don't take it to the heart so much. you know. But yeah, but like I say, anyway, I appreciate you coming through, man. Anytime I had this show, you can come through. Anybody here, anybody who ever watches this, y'all welcome to come through. And let them know anything about you want them to know about you.
Yeah, you can come check me out on the Lunatic Libertarian YouTube channel. I got interviews from years ago from libertarian candidates as far as their policies. I really try and push the libertarian ideology just because it's not conservative and it's not liberal. It is all encompassing. And anybody that is libertarian will tell you that there's more fighting in the Libertarian Party than I think in all the politics, but that's because it's all encompassing of a group. And when you're trying to incorporate everybody's ideas, it'll take some work to get policies pushed out.
And I'm gonna end the show, and I appreciate everybody watching. Make sure y'all go check out Lunatic Libertarian on YouTube. Make sure you follow me. Make sure you subscribe. Also subscribe to Lunatic Libertarian, and I'll catch y'all on the next show. Peace. I'll let you, bro.